The connection between creatine and hair loss. Creatine is one of the most popular and well-researched supplements in the fitness world. While its benefits for muscle growth and performance are well documented, there's an ongoing debate about its potential link to hair loss that concerns many potential users. The science behind it. Creatine may increase testosterone levels in some individuals. That is a hormone linked to male pattern baldness. Not everyone who takes creatine will experience hair loss. Genetic predisposition plays a crucial role. Who might be at risk? Men with a family history of male pattern baldness, those genetically sensitive to DET pool already experiencing early signs of hair thinning. Individuals with specific androgen receptor sensitivity. What you need to consider: your genetic predisposition to hair loss, family history of baldness, current hair health status, your fitness goals and priorities, risk versus benefit analysis, making an informed decision. Understanding your personal risk factors, consulting with healthcare professionals, monitoring any changes in hair thickness, considering alternative supplements if needed. I had always been skeptical of supplements. As a fitness enthusiast, I was constantly hearing about creatine from fellow gym-goers. They swore by it, claiming it was the secret behind their massive gains. Yet, every time I thought about taking the plunge and incorporating it into my routine, a voice in my head warned me. What if it affects your hair? Hair loss had been a sensitive topic for me. My family had a history of thinning hair, and I feared that something as simple as a supplement could make it worse. The idea of using creatine and possibly dealing with hair thinning became a constant battle in my mind. Would creatine accelerate hair loss, or was it just another baseless gym myth? After some research, I stumbled upon a 2009 study that seemed to confirm my fears. The study indicated that creatine could increase the levels of dihydrotestosterone, a hormone closely associated with hair loss. It immediately caught my attention. DTT had been the culprit in my family's thinning hair, and the thought that creatine could elevate its levels was alarming. I couldn't ignore the possibility that creatine could be linked to hair loss, but the question remained: was this correlation definitive, or was it just speculation? To dig deeper, I scoured various fitness forums, expert articles, and even consulted with my doctor. The more I learned, the more I realized that the connection between creatine and hair loss wasn't as clear-cut as the study suggested. Despite the 2009 study, there wasn't substantial evidence proving a direct link. Creatine might raise DHEA levels temporarily, but did that really translate to permanent hair loss? In the end, the information was mixed. Some people swore by creatine without ever noticing any hair thinning, while others reported more dramatic results. The uncertainty surrounding creatine's effects on hair loss kept me on edge. I knew I needed to make a decision, but the question remained: should I risk it, or was it better to find another path to enhance my fitness journey? I wasn't ready to make a decision just yet. With so many conflicting views on creatine and its potential effects on hair loss, I knew I needed more information. I decided to dive deeper into the science behind creatine and its impact on hormones, particularly DHEA. After all, it wasn't just about what I read in a single study, it was about understanding how my body could react to it. I started by looking into the role of DHT in hair loss. Dihydrotestosterone is a potent androgen hormone that's primarily linked to male pattern baldness. I learned that an increase in DHT can shrink hair follicles, leading to thinner hair and eventual hair loss. That's what worried me the most about creatine. If creatine did, in fact, raise DHT levels, would it accelerate the thinning process for those genetically predisposed to hair loss? It wasn't a comforting thought, but then I came across another perspective. Not everyone is sensitive to DHT. In fact, many people can take creatine without experiencing hair loss. Genetics play a huge role in determining whether or not diet will have an impact on hair follicles. For some, their bodies are more sensitive to DHT, making them more likely to experience thinning hair when exposed to elevated levels. For others, the increase in DHT might be minimal, and they may never notice a thing. I spoke with a few friends who had been using creatine for years. Surprisingly, none of them reported hair thinning, and they had all seen tremendous results in their workouts. They were confident that creatine had been a game changer for their strength and muscle mass, but none had suffered from the dreaded hair loss. Their experiences gave me a bit of hope. Maybe, just maybe, I wouldn't have to worry about the hair loss after all. Despite the positive testimonies, I couldn't shake the worry that lingered in the back of my mind. Should I risk it? The last thing I wanted was to deal with a receding hairline while trying to improve my physique. Still, the thought of missing out on the potential benefits of creatine like increased energy, improved strength, and faster muscle growth kept me pondering. Maybe there was a way to find balance and minimize the risk. I had learned all I could about creatine, DAT, and the potential risks, but it was time to put my research to the test. After all, theory and practice are two very different things. If I were to make an informed decision, I would need to experience it for myself, carefully observing any changes to my body. I was ready to start the experiment, to use creatine for a month and track both my fitness progress and any potential signs of hair thinning. I began with a moderate dose, following the recommended guidelines. For the first week, I didn't notice any significant changes. I felt more energized during workouts, and my strength was gradually improving, just as expected. My muscles were swelling up a bit, and I felt proud of the progress I was making. But despite the positive physical changes, I couldn't help but feel a little paranoid every time I combed my hair. Was it thinner? Was I seeing more strands in the shower drain? The fear of hair loss lingered, even as I tried to focus on the benefits of the supplement. To be honest, the first couple of weeks were nerve-wracking. I kept checking my scalp every morning, convinced that I could spot the early signs of a receding hairline. There was no immediate or drastic change, but that didn't fully calm my nerves. I decided to track my hair more systematically. I took pictures of my hairline, sideburns, and crown every few days. I knew I might not see immediate results, but I wanted a baseline so that if anything changed, I would know exactly when it happened. As the weeks went on, I began to see more defined results in the gym. My strength and muscle mass were noticeably increasing, and I was pushing myself harder than I ever had before. Creatine was giving me the energy I needed to push through intense workouts, and I could see the physical transformations taking place. But despite these gains, I couldn't shake the constant checking. Each morning, I found myself standing in front of the mirror, nervously inspecting my hair. At the end of the month, I realized something important. I hadn't noticed any major hair loss or thinning. The images I'd taken showed no significant changes in my hairline, and I felt a strange sense of relief. Creatine had given me the results I was hoping for in the gym, but it hadn't brought the hair loss I feared. Still, I knew that my experience wasn't definitive. Could it be that my body simply wasn't as sensitive to diet, or is it the fact that I hadn't been using creatine long enough to see a noticeable effect? I didn't know, but for now, I was relieved. A month had passed since I began using creatine, and I had experienced no noticeable hair thinning. My muscles were growing, my workouts were more intense, and my energy levels had surged. Still, the fear of hair loss lingered in the back of my mind. I had heard the warnings, seen the studies, and considered the possibility that my genetics might still make me more susceptible to the effects of DAT. But in my personal experience, I had yet to see any signs that creatine was causing hair loss. After my month-long trial, I decided to take a step back and reassess. Was creatine really the culprit for hair loss? Or was it just an easy scapegoat for an issue tied to other factors, such as genetics and stress? I knew I wasn't the only one asking these questions. There were countless others who had taken creatine without facing any issues, and there were also those who had reported shedding hair even without supplementation. So where did the truth lie? I spoke with a few fitness experts and dermatologists to get a clearer perspective. One expert explained that, while creatine might temporarily raise DAT levels, the increase wasn't significant enough to trigger hair loss in most people. He mentioned that those who are genetically predisposed to male pattern baldness are more likely to notice changes in their hair when exposed to DAT creases, but for others, the risk was minimal. Another dermatologist explained that hair thinning could be caused by a multitude of factors, including diet, stress, and hormone imbalance, not just creatine. The more I learned, the more I understood that the relationship between creatine and hair loss was complex. It wasn't about creatine alone, but how it interacted with each individual's body. For some, it might be a concern, but for others, it could be a non-issue. What mattered most was the overall context: how much stress you were under, what your genetics were like, and how your body responded to supplementation. It wasn't a simple yes or no answer. It was about finding balance and understanding the risks involved. As I reflected on my experience, I realized that there wasn't one universal answer. Creatine wasn't a magic pill, nor was it the villain some people made it out to be. For me, the benefits far outweighed the risks, and I could continue my fitness journey without constant worry about hair loss. The truth was, supplements like creatine could enhance your performance and results, but it was up to each individual to decide whether the potential side effects were worth it. My advice? Listen to your body, do your research, and don't let fear stop you from achieving your goals. And that wraps up today's video on creatine and whether it causes hair loss. As we've seen, there's a lot of debate and mixed evidence surrounding this topic. While some studies suggest creatine might increase DAT levels, which can contribute to hair thinning in those genetically predisposed to male pattern baldness, the reality is that for most people, creatine doesn't seem to have a significant impact on our hair health. Remember, everyone's body reacts differently. For some, creatine can be a game changer in the gym, helping with strength, muscle mass, and performance, without any noticeable side effects. For others, especially those with a family history of hair loss, it's something to consider carefully. Ultimately, it's important to weigh the benefits against the potential risks. If you're concerned, you can always monitor your hair closely, start with a lower dose, or even consult with a healthcare professional to ensure you're making the best choice for your body. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the Prime Healthy channel for more evidence-based health tips, and drop a comment below with your thoughts or experiences with creatine. Stay healthy, stay informed, and see you in the next video.